Hi everyone, and welcome to another week of Kingdom Kids Online. Woo! As you can see, I'm kind of losing my mind in this quarantine, but the cool thing is on Tuesday, I actually had a reason to leave the house and I went and gave blood, which I love to do. But not only did I just give blood, I got this really cool bruise as a result. So it was like win-win, saving lives, cool bruise. And I understand that it's weird that right now getting a bruise is the coolest thing, but like, what else is happening? You probably are also wondering, why am I upside down? Well, you know, last week I tried the whole handstand thing, even though thanks to the help of my family, I did make it at the end. Let's just say it was not the most successful. And I realized that I probably can't just be upside down. And also the blood rushes to your head and you know the drill, right? So I thought, well, maybe this week I can actually turn myself upside down and just be upside down the whole time as we round out our last week of the month, talking about how Jesus changed everything and turned it upside down. It's not distracting, right? It's totally normal to have me like this. Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if I had to watch someone upside down, I'd probably be like, this is weird. So while I try to get this straightened back out, let's hear a special message from Miss Barb.
Hi, this is Mrs. Barb. How's everybody doing? I miss all of you so much. I want to give you virtual hugs. But I'm going to show you some of the things in my garden, okay? Here you go. Here's some of the little guys in my garden. They're swimming in the fountain. I'm going to go down here. Got some blue flowers. I think they're called Glory in the Snow. And I got some little primroses from my mom's garden. Got some pretty white flowers. Uh-oh, what do I got over here? Where are those? Go a little more. Oh, got somebody else in the garden. Ooh, what's that? And some more. Okay, here we go. Can you tell I love frogs and birds? We got a mushroom, some pebbles, and some purple seashells that we picked up in Maine in the fall. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Oh wait, nope, got one more batch of flowers. All the hyacinths, all the spring flowers came up. Bye everybody, hope to see you soon.
Wow, Miss Barb's garden is seriously cool. I just want to go and hang out there, but then again, literally right now, I just want to go hang out anywhere. Thank you, Miss Barb, so much for sharing that with us. Whew. All right. So now we're going to get into something new that we're going to do. Because if you know me, you know I love icebreakers. I love getting to know people better and getting to do fun things. So each week now, we're going to start by doing an icebreaker. And this week, it's not going to necessarily be a get to know you. It's just more of like a show off your silly dance moves. And sure, you're out there in the world. You're not with me. I can't really see your moves, but your family can. So I want you to stand up right now. Right now, I know that you're still sitting down, probably looking around, smiling apprehensively. Oh, no. Stand up right now, and I want to see your silliest dance moves. Let's go.
I hope you enjoyed our video. Bye.
Wow, I seriously underestimated your silliness. Like, holy cow, guys, I could feel the weirdness of your dance moves coming through the internet. The good news is, since you're already up and moving, it is time to worship. And this week is extra special because we have Mr. Tom doing live worship with us. Well, pre-recorded, but still live. He's playing his guitar. His daughters Emma and Esther are leading in the motions. And it's gonna be so exciting. My Lighthouse is such an amazing song, and I'm so happy that we can bring it. My lighthouse, my lighthouse. Actually, maybe I should just let the professionals handle it. Here we go.
Welcome to Kingdom Kids. We miss all of you. Miss Chelsea asked us to put a little My Lighthouse on for you. I know I'm not in your living room, but I still expect to hear you. Let's go. Let's sing it out together. We'll see you later.
Bye. Bye.
You carry me safe to shore, safe to... Oh, sorry everyone. I'm still having so much fun with that video. But now, it is time to get into another activity, because what is church without fun activities? And the beauty of this one is that you just need a few supplies and you can do it right at home. Let's see what happens. All right, everybody, and now we are going to do an activity that you can actually do with your families at home. All you need is a paper plate and a writing utensil, pen, pencil, crayon, whatever it is you may have, and then you need people to play with. Are you guys ready to play?
Yes.
All right, so tell me, what is one thing that you think you draw really well?
I draw faces.
Faces, all right. What about animals?
I can draw a horse. I can draw a horse too.
So you can draw horses?
Uh-huh.
Do you think you draw horses pretty well?
Uh-huh.
All right, so we're gonna have a competition to see who can draw the best horse.
Okay.
But here's the catch. You are not just gonna draw here. You're gonna put the paper plate on your head like this.
What?
And you're gonna take the pen, and you're not looking, and you're gonna draw the horse.
Chelsea, when will be hard for us?
Is it gonna be hard for you? I don't know. You guys are good at drawing horses. Let's see. All right. We just have to do our best, remember?
I can't draw a horse.
You gotta try. I'm gonna try, and I don't even draw a horse well, so this is gonna be extra hard for me. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
On your mark, get set, go. I actually don't have a timer. You could probably time it, but all right, so I'm gonna do the head. Don't look.
I'm not gonna do this.
You just gotta keep drawing. All right, then maybe an ear.
Chelsea's yours is not showing up that well.
It's not showing up that well? Oh no, it's not.
What? Wait, can you just draw?
No, it has to be like this.
It does like a hat there.
It does look like a hat then. All right. All right, take two, because my niece Julia appropriately realized that it wasn't actually showing up. So make sure your writing utensils work before you try. All right, oh, Luis is already going. All right, all right, back to we're drawing horses on our head. There's my head. Hey, no, keep it up there. You are not allowed to look until it's all done. Here's my big horse body.
How do we know if it's all done or not?
Well, have you drawn all the parts to a horse? I'm drawing 4 legs.
I am too.
And then there's a tail
right now.
And then there's the
hair.
Yeah, don't forget the mane. The mane is an important part of a horse. How's it going?
What did I do?
Oh man. All right. Well, so I don't really know if you can pick a winner. Mine certainly has the most body, but I think there's a shape in Julia's, and then over here. So when you're drawing and you can look at it and you think you know what's going to happen, you can draw a horse pretty well, right?
Yeah.
But when you can't see, it doesn't really turn out how you expected, does it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we don't really have horses.
No.
So today in our Bible story, we are actually going to talk all about how even when we think something didn't turn out the way we thought it would and we're upset, that doesn't mean that God's plan is over yet.
What is that thing?
So, just because we think God's plan is over, it doesn't mean it is. So we're going to dive into our story. I'm so excited. Let's go. Life is a lot like that game. We have an idea of how we think it's going to look, and then suddenly a curveball is thrown, and then this is what we get. I mean, this is supposed to be a horse. And right now, that's kind of how life feels, doesn't it? For example, right now, I should be on vacation, enjoying the warmth, but instead, thanks to the virus, I'm stuck in Buffalo in the snow. But this lesson is perfect because it reminds us that even when what we think was supposed to happen doesn't, that doesn't mean that God doesn't still have a plan. All this month, we've been talking about humility, which is choosing to put others first by giving up what you think you deserve, which is, as we've talked about, really challenging because we think we deserve it for a reason, right? But all this month, we've seen examples from what Jesus did while his life on earth to show us that that's not the way we're supposed to live. We began by learning just why we should put others first. And then we learned why, because Jesus put others first when he went to the cross and he died for us. And then we learned the servant principle, which is That even though it doesn't matter what we think, we should always be trying to put others first, because again, that's what Jesus modeled to us in his life, his death, and his resurrection. So today, for our final week on humility, our story comes from the book of Luke, which is in the New Testament. Matthew, Mark, Luke, it's the third book. It's one of the Gospels. And it's from the last chapter. So it's Luke chapter 24, verses 13 to 35, and it's called The Walk to Emmaus. Now basically, there are these two guys who are walking from Jerusalem to Emmaus. Now that's a 7-mile walk. So, you know, it's like half a half marathon. So not quite a full marathon, not quite a half marathon. Still a pretty good distance to walk. And they had been followers of Jesus, and they were just talking about what had happened. Now during their journey, another man came up to them. Unbeknownst to them, it was Jesus, but he hid the fact that it was him from them. So he went up and he saw their faces and their intent discussion, and he asked, you know, what are you guys talking about? And then these guys were like, does this guy live under a rock? Like, we're talking about Jesus of Nazareth, the Messiah, and how he was killed. And they could not believe that, like, how on earth did they not know? They literally said to Jesus, you must be the only person in Jerusalem who hasn't heard about all the things that have happened there the last few days. That's like when you don't check your Facebook account for an hour and then everyone's like, did you not see this cool new video that broke? Or maybe your TikTok account. I don't know what kids do. But the funny thing is of course Jesus knew. He was Jesus, but he wanted to see what they had to say. So he asked them quite simply, what things? So they went on to talk about what had happened to him. They said he was a prophet who did powerful miracles, and he was a mighty teacher in the eyes of God and all the people. But our leading priests and other religious leaders handed him over to be condemned to death, and they crucified him. Now right here in verse 21 is the key. They said, we had hoped he was the Messiah who would come to rescue Israel. We had hoped. They believed that he was the Messiah to rescue Israel. Now we talked about that last week too. The Israelites believed that their Messiah was going to come and overthrow the government and rule on this earth. But that was never Jesus' plan. So when it didn't go how these guys expected, they assumed that maybe it wasn't true at all. And that's a lot to process. When you think something's going to happen and you believe in it and then it doesn't, everything around you can seem like it's falling apart. But fortunately, we know the story did not end there. After they explained that, they told Jesus, or the man they just thought was a stranger on the road with them, about how then women and the disciples had discovered that he was gone and that he was alive. Upon hearing this, Jesus just goes in on them and says, you foolish people. Now, if Jesus ever said that to me, I would just like cry, I think. You foolish people. You find it so hard to believe all that the prophets wrote in scriptures. Wasn't it clearly predicted that the Messiah would have to suffer all these things before entering into glory? And then Jesus, you know, he had the receipts in the story. He went through all of the prophets. He went through all of the stories that the Israelites grew up on, and he showed them details about how this was how it was supposed to be fulfilled. And slowly he began to open their eyes. Now they finally get to Emmaus, and then Jesus acts like he's going to continue on. He's like, bye, I'm just going to keep going. But these guys were like, holy cow, this man is amazing. We want to have dinner with him. So they invite him in, all is well, and then they share bread with him. And as soon as they take a bite, their eyes are open, and then they recognize that it's Jesus. The whole time, and they like, weren't our hearts burning when he spoke to us? They had a conversation about Jesus with Jesus when he showed them in detail how his life was predicted. I mean, how amazing is that? And then even more amazing, as soon as they realized it was Jesus, he disappeared. Now the Bible doesn't say poof, but in my mind, I like to think that there was a little poof, and then Jesus disappeared. But that wasn't the end, because they were so excited at this point. What they did is they got right back up. You know, they just walked 7 miles, not an easy walk, had just sat down to eat, didn't even finish, got back up, and then ran back to Jerusalem to tell the other followers they had seen Jesus. Now, what Jesus was pointing out to them was our bottom line for today, that there's always more to discover about God's plan. There is always more to discover about God's plan. It's really easy to go for what we expected, and then to be disappointed when things don't go that way, because we think that we know. We had hoped. That's what the followers said. They had lost hope because it wasn't what they were imagining. But we know that's not how it works with God. There is always reason to hope because it's always a part of his plan. Now, even in times like this, I know it can be very stressful. We don't know what's going on. Everything is changing around us. But we know that all of this is still a part of God's plan. And it's not what we expected. But that doesn't mean it can't be amazing. So think about that this week as we go out. And now, usually we pray. Prayer is always a good thing. But I want to lead us in a guided prayer as we wrap up our week on, our month on humility, actually. So everybody, now I'm going to read from my sheet to make sure I get the words right. But what's going to happen is I'm going to say the start of a prayer. Oh, maybe I should explain if you've never done a responsive prayer. So what happens is when you do a responsive prayer, certain denominations and churches and people will do them, they're really beautiful, is that I will say something and then you will say something with me for the second half to repeat it back. So we're affirming the prayer as we speak it, and it's an amazing experience. So I'm going to start, and then when I get to the end of each line, we're going to repeat the bottom line, which is there's always more to discover about God's plan. So there's always more to discover about God's plan. I'm going to have the words on the screen for you too, but remember, at the end of every line, that's how we're going to finish it. So, dear God, thank you that we heard today that there's always more to discover about God's plan. Thank you for showing the disciples on the road to Emmaus that there's always more to discover about God's plan. Thank you for the millions of ways you've shown Jesus followers all over the world that there's always more to discover about God's plan. When I feel confused, please help me to remember that there's always more to discover about God's plan. When I feel disappointed, please help me hold on because there's always more to discover about God's plan. When I feel bored, please show me that there's always more to discover about God's plan. When I think I have everything figured out and when I'm sure I don't, help me remember that there's always more to discover about God's plan. Thank you for showing me when I started leading this group that there's always more to discover about God's plan. And finally, we are so grateful that no matter what happens, where we go or who we are, there is always more to discover about God's plan. Amen. What an amazing truth to remember that no matter what's happening, there is always more to discover about God's plan. For our weekly challenge this week, and our final week of talking about humility, we are actually going to combine the challenge and Kids on Mission, and we're going to ask you something very simple. Put others first this week. It seems simple, right? But I also know it can be really hard because, again, we want to do what we want to do when we want to do it. So think about that. Instead of just doing what you want to do, if a parent or a family member asks you to clean up, clean up. Don't, resist. Don't keep playing on your tablet. Simply listen. If you're asked to feed the dog, help with the laundry, do the dishes, whatever it is, find a way that you can put others first this week. Now, and also make sure that you're not doing it just to show people and be like, hey, look, it's good to point out and good to recognize, but this is something that we do to serve others, not to call attention to ourselves. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to try it too, because again, I know sometimes being with my family, I just sometimes want to do what I want to do. I just want to keep reading my book. I want to make someone else do something for me because I don't want to get up and do it. But that's not a servant principle. So throughout your week, parents too, look for ways to put others first. All right, now humility has been so much fun and definitely been a learning experience for me as I think about how to navigate my own life and the ways that I could be more selfless. But it's time to move on to a new life app. And I think it's absolutely perfect for where we're at right now. Next month, we're talking about determination, which is deciding it's worth it to finish what you started. And let me tell you, sometimes I'm not very determined, so I'm pretty excited about this. Plus, this month, we talked about how things were upside down. Next week, we're talking about being unstuck. And I feel like right now, in a time when we're all kind of stuck, there's nothing more perfect. So I hope you all had a good time today. I hope you have great weeks, and I can't wait to see you right back here next Sunday. Bye.